All right, toy fans. So we're here with another one of our Lumibricks slash Fun Hole. Well, actually, this is just Lumibricks at this point. So this was one of the first Lumibricks sets that I bought. Let me state that in a way that's clear. I have been getting Fun Hole sets for a very long time. However, when they first made the transition, where they went from the Fun Hole licensing up here to Lumibricks, this was my first Lumibricks set that I got. Now, I've had many since. Out of the Lumibricks, the actual Lumibricks licensing, I've had the Sunset Stopover, the Treasury Stagecoach, the Sequoia Bandit Camp, the I know that there's more that I'm just not remembering, but even the Midnight Haunted Mansion. But I've had a ton of Fun Hole slash Lumibricks stuff as it is. I've had many sets, and a lot of them I really like. This one, we need to get into it because we really need to discuss it. I built this thing a very long time ago, and for the most part, I did some, animation things with it. I think probably back in like October, September. I've had this for a while, but I never really got into reviewing it. But it was one of those, I was cleaning up, going through backlog, pulling things out. I saw it and I was like, oh, hey, I actually need to talk about the build of this. And then when I was looking at the state of the build in the box, some things came up that's like, we need to address some of the issues with this particular build. Now, all in all, the build itself is nice. It looks good. It's a great display piece, but there are some build techniques and pieces and parts that makes it a little rough around the edges. Now, for me personally, I don't do a lot of the road trip stuff. I've got two sets of road trip. One is Sunset Stopover. The other is a Deer Crossing. Deer Crossing, I take the car, I put it in my Street Fusion City. The backdrop with the deer, I put with my Old West stuff. So I don't do a lot of the road trip stuff. And this is kind of going to be on that same level. I love the idea of road trip. I would be all about getting more things, including the, I think there's some beach stuff that has like a lighthouse, and now they're coming out with this, harbor bay restaurant thing that's supposed to go next to it. Those things look great with this. I think it'd be great to have. But this is a smaller set, so it feels like it doesn't really mesh with too much. And we'll get to that as we get into the review. Now, let's start off, as we always do. We're going to put the toy to the side. We're going to take a look at that box, because that's where we start, always. I mean, come on. Now, the box does have the Sunset Stopover. We see this Lumibricks, Delight Day and Night. This is L9082. It's 455 pieces. It is considered 16 up, and yes, I'm going to say it, 16 up. This one definitely needs a guiding hand on it. I found some aspects of this kind of difficult, very difficult to work with, but we're not going to let that sway us from, suggesting it to others, but it is a little more difficult than you would think. We do have a picture of it over here where we got, the booth, we got the sign, we got the truck here, and everything is separated. Keep that in mind. Everything right here is separated. And I think that's something to bring up. I think that's an important key thing to keep in mind there, is that, hey, why would you separate the phone booth, the sign, the cactus, and everything in this picture and not have it together like you do here? And I think we'll look into that here in a minute. Now, other than that, that's it. Everything else is all legalese. There's nothing inside the box. It's got its normal customer service, and it's got all the normal things that we would expect that come in the box. Everything's bagged. We get a book. Now, the book itself is this right here. We'll kind of set that off to the side there. So we do have the Sunset Stopover book here. And it's a little bit smaller book than what we normally have. We've got a little bit of a story here. It says, I like this because this is where the set's all together. We get the truck, person, but there's something, if you notice, the road portion is kind of covered right there. So you've always had a thing for the open road, the rush of speed, the unexpected encounters. They never get old. You just pick up a hitchhiker, and now with the road ahead, it's time to decide where to go next. So then we got some good toy photography in there. And then over here we get the Twilight Motel. We get the Night Glow Drive-In, the movie drive-in, and a gas station. Now, all of these actually tie back to other sets that have been made in the Road Trip series. Twilight Motel, I believe, is under the Lumibricks. The Night Glow Drive-In might be under Funhole. Gas station, I think, might be under Funhole as well. And, of course, you get a picture of everything. But, again, look. Sign is separate. I wonder why they keep doing that. Now, in this, we get some very unique lights that we don't normally get. We get one that is LEDs on this strip here, which was interesting to put together. We get our normal studded LED, and then we get the stickable LED strips. And that, I think, for me, is the biggest elephant in the room that we need to talk about. So a few things, but that's definitely one. We do get 2 minifigures in there, and we get this truck build, we get a base, and we get our actual build of our phone booth and everything here. Now, of course, we got all this other stuff in there. Now, let's actually take a look at the toy. Now, truck aside, and let's actually start with the truck, okay? Now, there's some interesting stuff with this truck build. If you do the lights, you've got, of course, a battery pack underneath. You get lights up front, which is nice. You get lights in the back, though they used white wedges for that. And honestly, we probably should have had this in red. And I think eventually I might replace these. I've got some red wedges that I think I'd replace those with. But we get, of course, the bed of the truck opens up. And interestingly enough, we get these things that turn. They feel almost like benches in a way, but I think they're supposed to be sideboards. This is a little awkward in my opinion. I think just building it up to build the slats there might have been a better call, or putting something there that had a little bit more tension. This feels strange, very strange. The other thing that is very strange is we do get doors on our build. And if we can get them open, they're buried in there, and then we have a window that sticks out over the way of that door. So this door serves as nothing, very, very much nothing. And I say that because it's not even pegged down in an area where, oh, I just popped that light off there, didn't I? Yeah, this one has been riddled with many, many things, but the door is not even pegged down, so it tends to pull in one direction or another. Now you say, hey, I want to get my guy out so he can address the other person. So we have to take this entire piece out, and then you have to shimmy him out. So now he clips down to these pegs down in the truck. It is a 6 stud wide truck. So it is the same size as our Lego City cars, things like that, which I am totally fine with. However, I think if we would have replaced this window right here with one that stopped right there, I think we would have been in a better spot. And I think that might be something that I do down the road, is look for one of those extra windows. And I might have a few in my bucket to replace that with. That where it goes out over the window is very, very bothersome to me. And the reason why is because, I mean, again, nothing's holding the doors down. So if we want, we can flip that out easily because there's nothing holding that stud in. And that is that in every stretch of the imagination is a bad design. It's a bad design. Everything else about the truck, though, is nice. The wheels are beautiful. We've got this markings on the outside of the wheel, which is nice. Lights are great. These plates building up the front grille are amazing. Even though I'm not a big fan of this particular thing here, it still makes it rather versatile. It looks still nice. The colors of it are phenomenal. These I do feel like need to be replaced, because when the lights are off, that is in white, that just, it looks kind of odd. Very odd. Whereas I think if we had red, much like we had the clear up here, that might make it feel more like that is truly a tail light. So there are things that I think can be improved and worked on, and that might be something that I do down the road to improve this particular truck. I like the truck. I want to use the truck. I, however, don't care as much for some of the aspects of the truck, the window, and the tail lights. Now, other than that, let's actually take a look at the playset. Now, this playset, this is our key area here. Of course, we got our little minifigure here, another cowboy. And in reality, I could use him in the Wild West stuff, but he does have a little bit more of a modern cowboy feel to it. Really good printing on the shirt and everything that makes him, look, I guess, very cowboy-esque, right? So he's obviously got kind of the bandana, pencil, white shirt. Probably would work really well with the carpentry van and the carpenter. I think he would look good with them. That feels like kind of a traveling worker, which I'm good with. I like that. I think it looks great. Now, with our set over here, and I know that there are aspects of this that I have messed up quite often. We do have our battery pack here. We get our lights here, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you right here. Let's turn this on. Take a look. You see how this light is curving? These are big LED strips that are on an adhesive. And the problem that I have is that the adhesive keeps wanting to pull up. Now, these are actually over multiple slats of bricks here. And I think one thing that we probably could have done that would have changed this is if we would have used actual, possibly, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe 1x10s in the brick form. It would have been a little bit thicker, but we could have added the stuff we needed to hinge this out. And I think that that might have been better if the adhesive felt more permanent. But this pulls up way too often. So halfway through displaying it, it's still acting up. Now, this is actually supposed to be 1 over, but I found that I had clutch power problems. And the way that they have done the wall on this here phone booth is that anytime you push on this, it is stressing the wall because there's no corner connections in any of these areas here. So it's definitely, as you try to push and clutch that battery pack onto the back, because it does keep wanting to fall off, we run into many problems, which is why I have mine kind of side placed. Now, we do have our router in the back. It routes out the power to everything, one going over here, one going over here. It'd be easy to run this off the back and do something with it for the actual USB cord and drop that pack over time, because I think once I put this into the city and I actually built it into something, some of this is drastically, and I mean drastically going to change. A lot of this is set up to be like little desert area. I'm all about little desert area. The phone booth is phenomenal. It's got a ton of detail in there. You've got the fantastic drive-in. You've got a yellow pages. You've got a phone booth. But here's the thing with the phone booth. You've got these tiles for the phone booth and no buttons. You put all of your printing in the sign, in the fantastic drive-in, and the yellow pages book, but you didn't give us a tile that had any buttons or corn slot or anything else for the actual phone. And if this is your mainstay, this is a phone booth that's supposed to have all this detail, it feels a little awkward that the phone booth that's supposed to have the detail for the phone doesn't actually have any detail for the phone. And that is an amazing gripe that really does need to be addressed. Of course, you have all this for the Twilight Motel. You've got this beautiful sunset And these are all, they actually feel like UV printing. So we've got, printing on, we got gas, the night glow drive-in, beautiful printing blocks. We've got, of course, over here, the phone booth is printed down. Inside, you've got printing in there as well. All in all, like, it looks good. It looks the part, and it's not an expensive set. So that's a key thing to keep in mind, is that money-wise, this is not a overpriced set. This is, in the range of about 30 something dollars. It's not bad at all. It's also not the greatest set I've ever seen. Now, with this, it does come with a bit of road, and here's where it becomes predominantly weird. If you are wanting to put this on a plate, on a road plate, in order for you to do that, you have to go in and really pull up a lot of the street in order to put it in. But the way that we've put it together, a lot of the, let me see if I can get it here where we can see, a lot of the plates and stuff cross over. You really have to start changing out a lot of these plates in order to get this scene to sit up to a road plate. So the road plate itself, it seems awkward, very awkward. We got beautiful stuff here, and I think as a standalone piece, it's nice. It definitely looks the part. It looks, amazing on its own. But unfortunately, on its own, unless you have just a small desk and want to put this on there and that's it, that looks good together. But then if you want to incorporate that into any city, you're missing out. I mean, I'd like to have the truck off to the side, even over here, something where we could see everything, and there's not enough road here for that, and we don't have any options for that. And that's something that, it's very model-esque, which is perfect. It's good. There's nothing wrong with model work in a building block set. I quite possibly prefer the idea of looking at certain things of building blocks as models themselves, because we are putting in a certain amount of work into this. We are adding details using building blocks and turning blocks a certain way, clutch power a certain way in order to create things. But with this particular set, it feels so Model-esque that it's hard to integrate into anything else. And that is that's a big gripe on my end, but it's also kind of something that needs to be addressed. If we want to have this where we can incorporate it with a road plate, we need to be able to take off the existing road and actually have it set and plate to a road plate, so then we can mills plate it and we can world build. Because a lot of the AFOLs, the adult fans of Legos that are going to be building this, getting into this, some of us, we're going to want to break this down and turn it into something else. Besides for the guy being able to get out, the windows, the wedges, the lights peeling up, and if you can see over here, they're already peeling up yet again. This tends to get loose over time. One more big complaint that I have is the fact that this right here, we probably, and I'm going to say it, in a loving way, we did end up getting a 4x4 tiled plate. This should have been a 8x8, honestly. It should have gone all the way to the end, 8x8. I mean, you could have even just done 8x8 plate, put this in the center, and still had the studs around it. But this should have had something to hold that down, because there have been times I could have pulled it to lift it up off of the thing, and you're just pulling signs off, or it drops and it pulls out. There's nothing there to clutch those pieces down, and it definitely needed it. It really did. This here on the end, it doesn't feel like it has enough stay power to hold everything down. I mean, just lifting that, and we're having problems. So that is, key areas of design that I really feel should have been addressed. Will I keep this? Yes. Will I keep it as is? This is the first time that I would be willing to take a Lumibricks set, strip it apart from all the other, all the pieces, rebuild aspects of it, keep the sign together, keep the booth together, but then readdress the base plate, readdress some of the plants, and readdress some of the building in it in order to have something that would fit with my kind of Lego Street Fusion Cyberpunk city. Neon lights aside, like, I think it's perfect and it does what it needs to do as far as having like neon signs, phone booth, all that I love. But it doesn't work with me for what I'm doing. Now, for people that want to do road trip setups and have the drive-through, have the Twilight Motel, to have all the road trip aspects and to be able to put this on it, this is perfect for you. And if you're not going to base it on a plate or put it on a plate where you need it on something, it makes sense for you to essentially have it to where it's like, okay, hey, we're going to have this plate here and that's just going to display that way. And I think as a standalone display for that, it works. But it doesn't necessarily work in the way of what we would want, and that is for me to plate it up to a road plate or to plate it up to a city plate. Okay, so that's all I got to say about the Sunset Stopover. Again, for the price that we're getting on this, it is still highly, highly worth it. And I do have a link, affiliate link to Lumibricks down below. So if you decide to get this, hit up that Lumibricks link. This is a relatively inexpensive set. There's not a lot to it, so it's good. I could see some kids, younger kids, building this, but there does need to be that hand-in-hand sort of help, because there are some frustrating build techniques in this that would need a little bit, I guess, push for engineering thought process in order to make this work the way it needs to work. Okay. That's all I got to say about the Lumibricks Sunset Stopover. Listen, if you haven't subscribed, be sure to subscribe. Comment down below. What's your favorite part of this set? And what part do you not like? If you have this and you agree with me, tell me how you agree with me. If you don't agree with me, tell me how you don't agree with me, because I'd love to hear that feedback. And maybe I'm being too harsh on this, but I've had it for long enough at this point. I'm making a judgment that is coming from experience on this one, okay? I did buy this set on my own, so this is not something that was given to me. So I want to be as unbiased as I can for Lumibricks to let you know that whatever you're getting, this is the quality that you're getting, and hopefully this is helping you make that decision on whether you want to get this or not. Okay. Like I said, comment down below, like this. It lets YouTube know that you're liking what I'm making, and yeah, that's all I got to say about it. Hey, I love you all. Jesus loves you more. There's nothing you do about it. Good luck with the build, and happy brick hunting.